Cool. Well, welcome. Welcome to
Thanks for
the
having me.
Train Crazy, or what drives you crazy? First time, guys. What drives you crazy podcast with the Crazy Trainer, and my guest over here today is Danny Cola. Um, Super happy to have you. More happy than you could be to have yourself on here because this is my first one, so I win of
I'm an
gratitude. Um,
I'm honored.
Thanks, man. No, I was really happy to be able to do this. So I was like, yeah, I would love to just catch up with them. And either way, it's something I think we can make valuable for ourselves, our audience, and just the community at whole.
For sure. I'm in.
Right on, man. So before I get into my specific questions and what I really want to ask you, and kind of lead the conversation a little bit in a good direction for people to get to know you, I'd like for you to just kind of introduce yourself a little bit, little mini download for where
Yeah.
you're at right now, who you are, where you're at, where you're from. And then from there, I'd like to continue the conversation.
All right, cool. My name is Danny Cola. I'm gonna bring back everyone's calling themselves a coach, fitness coach. I'm a personal trainer, damn it.
Let's go.
I got certified as a personal trainer in 2007. I was a high school teacher for a stretch of time for 6 years. I love working with people. I love coaching, teaching. I love working with kids and adults, athletes. I played college football as a kicker and punter. So a lot of my clientele is kickers and punters, which is awesome. I love connecting with them. I own my own gym here in Chicago, a suburb of Chicago called Park Ridge, Illinois. It's about 10 minutes outside of the main airport. If you fly into Chicago, you fly into O'Hare Airport. The gym is about 10 minutes outside of O'Hare. And here I do small groups and one-on-one training. Um, I host a
Say
facility
the
for
name, damn it. It's so cool. Why are you saving it for last? You're killing me.
underground fitness studio where
Let's
it's
go.
everything unconventional. We teach kettlebells, mace, clubs, um, you know, ropes, landmine, and we also combine that with your conventional type approach to fitness. I think meeting people where they're at is super important. So I've been down here now for 2.5 years, and it's been an amazing process. It's been so fun. I'm challenged every single day. I'm learning so much about just you know, organizing myself, organizing my thoughts, putting things into a systematic structure and letting those kinds of systems just play itself out. And I'm the facilitator and I just make sure shit's organized. And I love doing what I'm doing the last 2.5 years. I teach education workshops, seminars, whatever you want to call it. I think going in that direction is going to be huge for things that I want to do, fulfilling myself and delivering a level of teaching to people that are interested in learning to level up their fitness. So I do that. I am in a wonderful relationship for the last 14 years. I have a wonderful wife that is the other half of this. She does a lot of the business aspects, the taxes, the budgeting, all that shit that I don't have any bandwidth for. Um, so yeah, I have a son. He's 7.5 months old. I love being a father, man, watching this kid grow. And now he's in this stage of his life where his personality is starting to form. I'm trying to be very cognizant of my actions, the things I say, the things that I do, the intentions that I have, because he's watching every single move. And having a baby has taught me that it's more important now than ever to follow your hopes, follow your dreams, follow your passions, because I'm showing him that, right? Through
Mm,
my passions, through my work that I'm doing, he's seeing every step. And I also want him to know that whatever it is that you go down, whatever path that you find yourself being called to, you got to follow your heart. And the next step is that you have to also um, be of value to people, right? So
mm.
you take your God-given gifts and you add value to people in a very honest manner, um, an altruistic manner. So that is now more important to me than anything. So just being a good example for that young man, and just yeah, just doing it every single day.
Let's
I
go,
love everything.
Nico. Young
Yeah,
man.
I love doing what I'm doing. Every day there's something new that's happening. The gym is expanding. I'm trying, like I said, I'm trying to challenge myself in new ways, finding different ways to educate, do workshops at my gym. collaborate with other gym owners that are in the, local area, in the O'Hare area. There's so many gyms out here, small gyms. And I feel like after the pandemic, the boom of small gyms has just kind of been all over the place. And so I'm trying to go to different gyms, teach some of the steel mace, the steel club, the landmine stuff, um, and bring that information out to other gyms out there, because I just know that it's going to help people on, just next level. I can't do it all. I can't train everybody. So the more information I can relay to other people, the better. Um, yeah, man, I do a podcast called the Danny Cola Podcast. I started it
Whoop,
in
whoop.
2017. It's just a real passion of mine. I got inspired from listening to Joe Rogan. He's my idol, the pod father. So he makes it look so easy, just having conversations with people that I was like, wow, I bet you I can do that. And I've learned so much just from having conversations with people, being open and honest, and saying some of the things, the crazy thoughts that I have about the universe, reality, life, consciousness, and how we interact with it, and getting some of the information out there and learning about what people think about some of these crazy thoughts. And I wouldn't change it for anything else. This is what I'm put on this earth to do. Um, and that's it, man. That's pretty much the lowdown of what I'm about. And like I said, every day is a new challenge, and I look forward to what God gives me every single day. I'm grateful.
Oh yeah, man. We're grateful for you because the thoughts that are crazy that you're having, most people are probably having. So it's really nice to think
Sure.
together that we're all fucking nuts. We're all crazy.
I heard on a podcast today, listening to a Paul Check podcast with Jason Picard. They say that you have to get yourself a little crazy sometimes so that you can get calm. Because if
Mm.
you're pretending like you're calm all the time, at some point you're going to go berserk and insane and have some sort of schizophrenic episode and be really challenged with something that came out of the blue, that it flusters you, and that's going to make you go insane. So I like getting a little insane when things are calm so that I can stay sane and calm for the majority of my life. But I do have crazy thoughts about reality, consciousness, the universe, and how we interact with it. And I
You
really
got to
want
get
to
a little
just,
crazy so you don't go insane.
that's right.
That's right. I'm with it. Hell
Yeah.
yeah.
You got to get a little
Thanks.
crazy sometimes so
It's a
that,
great slogan. Thanks.
yeah. Yeah.
Right off, man. So I want to kind of rewind because great download. I'm blessed to know you and
Right back
have a
at you.
good enough like summary of who you are and how you operate because I've gotten to literally live with you, watch your habits,
Mm-hmm.
study you,
Mm,
work from you, learn from you too, and not just be involved with sharing knowledge from, with you. I've literally gotten so many downloads and just the amount of love you've poured into me as a human with just presence. I have for life. So I love you back.
yeah, back
Um,
at you, dude. I'm glad.
definitely, homie. But I want to kind of help the audience that hopefully will continue to build over time, understand a little bit more about you in detail, and it's kind of get us in a direction that I know we naturally are going to go in regardless. So, yeah, man, I think going back to some ways the beginning, you're from you're from Chi Town, right? You're from
Yeah,
Chicago.
I was born at Columbus Hospital, which was a hospital in the downtown area that's no longer exists. But yeah, I was born in the city, and I went to school in a suburb just outside the city, like 25 minutes outside the downtown area, and I grew up around the
So you're
airport.
like a lifer. You're a
Yeah,
lifer.
dude. Chicago baby,
Um,
born and raised.
so let me ask you, man, like let's get back into, what drives us crazy. You chose a career of fitness.
Mhm.
Entrepreneurship comes with that. All of those thoughts, crazy
Mhm.
thoughts, good thoughts, bad thoughts, are all over the place. What initially even got you into fitness? Was it sports? Was it the gym? Kind of
Mhm.
bring us back a little bit to the younger Danny Cola.
Yeah. So when I was in high school, I graduated in 2007, and I already had the idea to become a personal trainer in high school. I was training for soccer because I was playing soccer back then.
That's nuts
Before,
already to know how like that you've wanted to
yeah,
do that at that age. Like that's
yeah.
beautiful.
Well, I was like a really slow soccer player. I was a good soccer player, but slow as fuck. And I had like all these leadership type characteristics. So I added value to my soccer teams in every level I played. So by the time I got to high school, you know, in the town where I went to high school in Park Ridge, which is where the gym is at, the culture around sports is really high level, highly competitive. They're known for winning a lot of games and winning championships, state titles, all that. So like I drank the Kool-Aid right away. I'm like, I want nothing else but this, right?
Yeah.
So I just knew that if I wanted to make an impact, I had to be in shape and I had to be fit. So I started weight training. I started doing a lot of this, the running, which I fucking hated. And then I realized that I was slow as shit. And I knew that I had to get more fit in
Partially
order
why
to
you
be.
hated
Yeah. Oh man.
it.
Oh, it was the worst. But all the doing what you have to do, even though you don't want to do it, built my mentality that I have now, and I'm all in on stuff like that. So long story
So
short,
family didn't push you into sports. It was more like you were like, I want to do that. Wasn't it like a family
well,
push?
my dad played soccer and I was always around, like, I was going to games with him ever since I was a kid, watching him play. And I started playing when I was in second grade, first grade or whatever. So, and then other sports too, basketball, volleyball, but really soccer was my main thing. Waking up super early on Saturdays to go play games ever since I was like 10, 9, you know what I mean? And that I did that all the way until I was like 24 after college was over. And I did play a little soccer in college too, but I switched over to kicking and punting because I just saw
Gotcha.
another opportunity. But back in high school, I was training for, just to be a fitter soccer player. And I started to like really get a deeper understanding on how to program. And with my leadership intangibles, I was communicating these program type things that I was learning with kids at my high school. And I was like, okay, this is interesting. And then my dad caught on. He's like, dude, this is interesting. Maybe you go to school, become a personal trainer. What's that? What does that look like?
Yep.
And I was like, I don't know. So I started doing some research and I went to National Personal Training Institute, which is like this certification program that was 6 months. And when I was a senior in high school, I went from Park Ridge area from high school, took a train, blue line down into the city, a bus, went down to River East, which is a part of the downtown area. And I went to this gym. It was called Holmes Place. It was a super high level gym that I was like, wow, man, everything's so nice and beautiful and clean. And I was 18 years old, and I would get there early. I would get a pump on. I would shower up, use the steam room and the sauna, and then I would go to class from 5:30 to like 9:30. And it was all like the first half was all a lecture, writing notes, human anatomy, kinesiology, all that stuff. And then the other half was like practical. Let's apply what we learned in the classroom to the gym floor. So like I went all in. I loved every single second about it. Tuesday, Thursday, I was in the city doing fucking classes, and all day Saturday. After 6 months, I got my certification and I started working at Bally Fitness. So going back to your
Let's
question,
go.
you talked about like fitness, entrepreneurship, all this stuff. When I got to Bally's, I didn't like selling. I was very uncomfortable with the idea of charging X amount of dollars for my services. I just didn't feel worth it, And
Yeah.
I did it for 2.5 years at Bally's. After my like first 6 months, I started really learning how to sell and just deliver sessions, be on point, be professional, just take every single client that came my way. And next thing I knew, I was training 6, 7, 8 hours a day and selling every month. But I didn't like the fact that I had to hit a quota. It was very stressful for me. And I said to myself, I don't want to live this fucking way. I don't want to live this life, So I decided to go back to school. I went to college. I went to DePaul, which is another university in the city, for a little while after high school, but quickly dropped out. And then I went all into my training career at Bally's. But, when you're working for a big box gym, it has its ups and it has its downs. And the big box gym, I guess, culture didn't resonate with me at all. So I jumped ship and I went back to school and I got my degree in education, where I became a PE teacher, health teacher, and driver's ed teacher. And I wanted to coach high school soccer and I wanted to get out of the whole sales thing. Right. So, I
But
played
it was
college
good.
football.
You look back at it, we
Oh,
need,
I
and
would not
anyone
change it.
listening who's like a new coach, right? Like I see people kind of skipping that phase right now. And I'm like, fuck, you just missed out on understanding hustle. You just missed
Yeah.
out on understanding the value of what you actually get to do. when you don't have to do it for them. And you're missing out on the value, the experience, and the types of people that you connect with in a big box
Boom.
gym. And if you can fucking tailor your communication style to these different personality types in a big box gym, fuck training as a career. This is for life, baby. Like
Yeah.
how you're going to be as a communicator, how you're going to be as a friend, as a person, your interactions, what
That's just a,
people are
as
going
a
to think
professional.
about you, as a professional, as a human.
Yeah.
So for me,
Yeah.
I really think about those experiences and I'm like, fuck yeah. Like I'm so happy those happened. I'm so happy I worked for an
Oh
LA
yeah.
Fitness, a big box gym. That's a phase that if any new coaches are curious, like where do I start? Like that's a great learning spot. It's
Great
not
place
where
to
you're going to
start.
be forever. If you want to do this forever and you mean it, you're not going to have to be there. But it's a great space to gain experience, learn a lot about the business side, learn a lot about the training side, and more importantly,
Yeah.
the practicality of what it's like to actually be a trainer.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm grateful for the experience I had working at that gym. And then, when I was in college, I worked for another big box gym and I learned more about the culture that lives. Now you could work at a big box gym for your whole life if
Yeah,
you
you
really
get to
wanted
learn
to.
about what you were saying. I like you get to learn about what you don't want, what you don't
Yeah.
like, right? That's
Yeah.
also something I think that we didn't touch up on. When you go to a big box gym, you get to see like, man, what do I want? And it's culture. We all want community and
Yeah,
culture, so it needs to be bigger than this box.
for sure. For sure. And I learned a lot and I did ultimately decided I don't want to work for a big box gym. I was just doing the training at that gym because it helped me get through college. And then I learned about how there's these private studios that you can rent. You bring your clients there. Now, when you work for a big box gym, you could really develop a base of clientele. Right. This is amazing thing about
Yep,
working at a big box gym because there's constantly people around. If you show yourself in the gym, people start to get to know you pretty quickly. Next thing you know, you're training a lot of folks. They're bringing in their husbands, their daughters, their kids, and referring you people. And then it's like, okay, all right, this is awesome. This is
exposure,
amazing.
baby. Yep, it's a
Yeah.
platform for exposure and networking.
And then what I did, maybe unethical, but a lot of trainers do this. I just left and I went to a small gym where I was renting and several people came with me. And that's just, the nature of the beast. This is what happens in big box gyms. Trainers get experience. They realize, shit, I can make more money. One, if I do this on my own. And two, I don't have to abide by all the red tape corporate bullshit that comes with working at a club. So
It's
I
another
did
level of
that.
freedom.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I did that for while I was in college, and then once college was done, I went right into a teaching career. I worked in the inner city of Chicago for 3 years, made my way out to the suburbs, and I really wanted to be a varsity soccer coach. I really wanted to impact kids, win state titles, that whole Maine South culture, the
Yeah,
park ridge
yeah.
culture that I was talking about. But I found myself in a different school every single year because I realized that in school systems, you have to basically self-censor. You have to shut your fucking mouth no matter what you think about certain things. And I just realized ultimately I can't self-censor. I have to speak my truth because at the end of the day, we're here for the kids and we're trying to do what's best practice for them so that they can have optimal lives, right? The school systems, anytime I gave my input about like, all right, this process is bad. I think we should do this instead. I think it'll be better. They told me, dude, shut your fucking mouth. You're a first year teacher here. Why are you giving us all this information? So I always found out that I wore out my welcome really quickly. And I had to go to another school or, one school let me go. And when I realized like these schools they were letting me go, I was like, well, you can't give me a solid reason. I know I'm building relationships with the kids. I know I'm having an impact. I know I'm more positive than anything else. I'm teaching these kids how to exercise. I'm passionate about exercise, and every kid needs exercise. Every human needs
Yeah.
exercise. And where are they going to learn it other than school? And the policies that are in place right now are not backing up these kids. It's not giving them any sort of value. In fact, the kids would find loopholes on how not to be there and then get away with it. And I didn't
Hmm.
want to be a part of that fucking shit, dude. I didn't want to be a part of
Yep.
that system at all. So I said, fuck this. I'm going back to my training roots. And I was very scared because, again, I was nervous about making sales every month and giving my skill set for a dollar amount and then making that be the norm. I was very uncomfortable with that for a long time. But 2019, went all in on the training again, and I just went back to a small, like a private, like a, a studio gym where I was renting, and slowly but surely built up my clients again. And then I realized, shit, I can do this. I can do this. I can do this for a living. I got to organize this better. I got to be more consistent with how I organize it and the structure with everything. But I knew that I was able to do it. And I said, fuck it, even though I'm scared, never look back. And next thing I know, I'm fucking training 9 hours, dude, 9 hours a day, 5 days a week, 6 days a week before the baby got here. And I was like, I can't do this anymore. So I had, again, to restructure myself,
Dude, it's
do
crazy when you break down
always.
your resiliency, because I don't think we've even chatted enough about that. When I hear how many times you've actually gone back out of training, back to training,
Yeah. Yeah.
and that was something you wanted to do, but it does say a lot about the resilient human, willing to see that consistently and go back. Like, I don't call, like, what we talked about with the gym owning, like, I didn't fail at all. So much learning. What I would
Yeah.
do if I did it again. Do I
Yeah.
really want to do
Yeah.
that is the next question. To if I
Exactly.
if I want to do that, that's the question for
But
that.
you would
But
never have known to ask the question if you didn't have the experience in the beginning,
1 billion jillion percent.
right?
So I think, like, where you're at now, and I am so proud of you and inspired by your
Thanks.
success. Like, watching how you systemize your life and how you and Danielle operate in the way you guys do as partners in every way, but with business as well. Um, it just shows, like, you get like the success that you're continuing to build and that you're currently at and that will continue is based off you not giving up. And I think that's something that a lot of people don't know about you. So I'm really happy we could at
Yeah.
least brush up on that, because it's
Yeah.
important for the audience to know, like,
Yeah.
training as a career is scary. There's no guarantee security. There's no guarantee security in anything, but in training, like, it's it's not, it is a very big market. I mean, it's a lot of a saturated market, quote unquote. There is a lot of trainers. There are people looking for personal training, but it's a very big learning out of scarcity mindset, in my opinion. And something I'm still working through now, continuing with the move, like being like, oh, clients will come. Like, that's a
Yeah.
mindset that has to develop through
Yeah.
this
They will.
experience, which for me, same thing. Like, I needed those box experiences and the independent experience and losing clients, gaining. I needed all of that to get
Yeah.
to this point of, like, I'm abundant no matter what, mother lovers.
And that's the thing.
So
You got to stay in an abundant mindset. There's
yep.
plenty of room for everybody to eat when you think that way. You got to prime
Hmm.
yourself for that. And I'll tell you the truth
Yep.
too. Most people don't want to start over.
Yeah.
Most people, they don't want to stop what they're doing and start over. It's too much
It's too
unknown
much
for them.
change. Too much
Too much change.
change. Because I
But
was going through it. That's what I'm saying. I was going through that during our catch up.
yes, 100%. But guess what, dude? All the things that you've been teaching people and the things that you do, the cold bath, the sauna, the meditating, the flow,
Yep.
this stuff has prepped you for where you are right now. You did it once, you moved from Miami to Orlando. Now you're doing it again, and it's going to be like fucking cake, because you're going to put yourself in a place, you're going to open your heart, and guess what? The people are going to attract to that, just like they did in Miami,
Hmm.
just like they did in Orlando, and now that what they're going to do it in Austin. I'm telling you 100%, you will plop yourself in that spot. You're going to open your heart, and like a magnet, they're going to fucking come to you, because that's the energy that you have. And that's the bottom line, because Stone Cold said so. And when you put yourself in these situations, it allows new fucking brain cells to
Yep.
stimulate and
I'm calling it
regrow.
a 360 cold plunge right now, Danny. I was like, yo, every area of my life is a cold plunge. My relationship right now, I'm going to the cold plunge. My fucking career, I'm going to the cold plunge. The city, I'm going to the cold plunge.
And
I
what is the
just
cold
told
plunge?
myself, yeah, you fucking know, baby, a place of growth, a place of resiliency, a place of
It
fucking
is,
self belief. Like,
it
it
is
preps you to be comfortable in discomfort and to
exactly.
win on the other side.
Exactly. It is a controlled, chaotic state that you've created, that you have to force yourself to mentally override. Right. And you do that
Yep.
enough times, you build new circuitry up here. Right. And you start to see patterns in the world differently. Then you can't go back to how you used to see it, because, I never thought of it like this before, but now,
Hmm.
and then you can take that with you everywhere you go, and you're priming your brain when you put yourself through those tough times.
Well, that's a part of
Um,
why we got to get uncomfortable, which is why I was like, man, it's comfortable in Orlando. Like it's giving me an opportunity to
yeah,
build security, but I'm missing something. There's an acceleration of like what we just talked about when on our catch up when we were saying my role in things that you've learned or were more exposed to. Here's my truth, in my opinion. IMO, but you were going there anyways. I just again accelerated a process of what was already occurring. Like I really look at it that way.
mm, yeah, yeah, man.
Um,
Life is fun. Like life is funny, and
And
this
so
this is not.
this is what I was getting at is this an acceleration process for growth, but just to speed it up. I'm going to go there anyway. It's going to speed it up. I don't want to sit in the comfort.
Yeah, yeah. And you know, acceleration, speed, it's important in business. You gotta do things, and you gotta do things quickly, efficiently, but also knowing when it's time to scale back,
Oh
have a
yeah,
moment,
this
and
last
just
6 months was full deceleration, and I'm sure for you having fucking Nico, same thing,
yeah,
right?
you
You
have to
had to
regroup.
decelerate.
You
Yep.
have to regroup because, and I'll tell you another like omen that happened to me last year. Or maybe this is 2 years ago now. Maybe when I first opened the gym, I wanted to do things like boom, 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 boom. We got to go next thing, next thing, next thing.
Yep.
I want to do
Yep.
the expansion, blah, 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 blah,
I
blah.
remember. Yeah.
In 1 week, I got a flat tire, a speeding ticket, and a crack in my windshield. All omens to say, slow the fuck down.
Count the
Slow the
threes.
fuck
Is
down.
there?
Okay.
Hmm.
Because if you keep going at this rate, the wheels are going to fall off and you're going to have nothing. Okay. And you got to sometimes listen to what the universe is giving you, you know? And I think it's important to be mindful of those things that happen regularly, the situations that start to unfold. It's not random. I
Yeah,
don't believe in
patterns are
fucking,
patterns, baby. Like
I don't
there is
believe in random.
randomness. I believe that there can be randomness, but I believe that there are patterns for a reason. So like
Here's why
because
I don't think,
randomness is needed for new patterns.
time out. Let's take a look at something random. The reason why we think it's random is because we can't yet
I always
understand.
come back to the pool table with you when I think about this concept,
Yes.
and
Did
I'm
I, did
with
I,
you on that. Yeah, we've had this discussion. So just for the
yes.
audience, a little bit, you can give them a mini summary
Okay.
of
So
the pool concept
if
here.
you're on a if you're playing pool and you have a billiards table, okay? Um, and you go ahead and you shoot the white ball into the rack of balls that fucking go everywhere on the table. It looks random. It looks random to the naked eye. It's like, oh shit, all these balls are in spots on the table. However, if you knew all the information about at the speed you hit that ball, the angle that you hit all the other balls, the weight of the ball, the size of the table, and you can calculate that mathematically, you could know where all those balls go on the table. And it's not random anymore, right? It's the fact that we don't have the knowledge yet on the outskirts of what's happening that makes things look random. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I still hear you because that was something I used to really think about, and still do. But I've also opened my thought process to like, well, chaos leads to structure. So like what we just said, like patterns become patterns. So we need shakeups, we need unknown,
Sure.
we need chance, in my opinion, to go into a new pattern process. So that's devil's advocate play there. But I
Sure,
want to come
sure.
back to training a bit again because I'm hoping
Yeah.
we gather listeners that are into what we're into and maybe
Mm,
interested in learning more about what we do to dive deeper. So you decided to open up Underground Fitness Studio. Powerful movies again, gym owner, entrepreneur, trainer, all the roles we're playing.
in the middle of a
But
pandemic.
in the middle, let alone, but you chose to dive deeper into unconventional fitness, unconventional
Mm,
training. Before we get into the why of that, because I want to know the why and I want our
sure.
audience to listen to the whys, because a lot of our whys who are into this, we share thoughts and they might not be as crazy as we think. When did you get into unconventional training? Was that something that you were doing as an educator when you were a teacher? Was it something that you did the third time you dove back into training in 2019? Kind of bring us to what got you into that track, your first time maybe being exposed
Sure.
to it, seeing it,
Sure.
and why you've continued to dive deeper into that rabbit hole, unconventional
Yeah.
training.
Yeah. When I was kicking in college, I would always have these hip issues, just overuse of one side, completely imbalanced, you know? And anytime I'd kick a ball, I'd always have these sharp pains in my right hip, you know? And I was like, this, and I was training like normal conventional football, heavy deadlifts, heavy cleans, heavy bench press, sprinting. And I was doing yoga or whatever. But then I started looking at these kettlebells that were at the gym, and I was like, these are interesting tools. And listening to Joe Rogan talk about kettlebells. I'm like, Joe Rogan's cool as fuck. He swings kettlebells. Let me dive deeper into the kettlebells. So I started like messing with the kettlebells that were at my gym or whatever. And then I was like, I need to learn how to use these effectively because I don't feel like the personal trainer Danny with these because I don't know what the fuck I'm doing essentially, So I just, again, starting from scratch, I went to Onnit kettlebell certification course that was in Chicago in like 2018. And these four guys, they have this gym. It's out by my house, actually, in Wheaton, called Midwest Strength and Performance. These four guys, they opened up a gym. Again, they came from a big box gym.
That
They
was the
went to
Viking Ninja movement, right?
Yes, yes, yes. They
Okay.
were part of Viking Ninja for a little while. I don't think they're part of Viking Ninja anymore.
Yeah.
But they did. What's his name? Primal Soldier came out to the workshop, and this was the time Marcus Martinez was doing the workshops. So I did the 2-day, 8-hour kettlebell course at that Midwest Strength Performance Gym, and I was hooked. I was like, okay, this is a new style of training. This is very interesting. I like it. These guys have a gym. They opened up by themselves. They're doing the damn thing. I was like, wow, a
Mm.
whole new world of
So kettlebell was the
understanding.
first exposure, like the
Kettlebell was the
tool.
first one. Yeah. And
Gotcha.
then when I was at the gym doing the kettlebell cert, I saw the maces on the wall and I saw somebody doing a 360 with it. I was like, what the fuck are those things? What are those things? Those look cool. And the first time I laid eyes on a mace, I was like hooked. I was like, okay, this is new. This is
You didn't
different.
even have to
Why
touch it.
Yeah, I was like, why aren't more people swinging a heavy load? This seems like it would be amazing for shoulders, your spine, your hips, everything. So, you're doing kettlebells. Let's go into the maces. Let's see what that's all about. And then you learn about Onnit, and it's like, okay, well, they're a whole supplement and fitness tool company. Let's dive deeper. Let's see what else they got. So, I did a mace certification. I did multiple mace certifications, different, Viking Ninja was one, then I did the Onnit one, and then just like all the people doing different things, steel mace flow. Then there's like steel mace, like strength competitions and shit. So
Mhm.
just like there's kettlebell flow, kettlebell flipping, there's kettlebell sport, whatever, there's so many different avenues of kettlebell. And I'm still
A
going through the
niche within a
process now.
niche, right?
Yeah,
Niches
100%.
within niches.
And then what really is crazy to me is like, and I think this is just a human aspect, the amount of division that it starts to show itself in these small communities. No, you can't swing mace
Yep,
like
yep.
that. No, you could only swing kettlebells like that. Well, why?
Mhm.
Why are you saying you can't like my favorite thing was, this is what turned me off the Viking Ninja, was the main guy of Viking Ninja was like, we don't say flow here, we say mindful mechanics. So when people start telling you this person's bad for doing this and you can't say these things, that's cult vibes.
Yep.
That's trying to get you to think in my terms only, and it did not vibe with me
Yeah, it's
at
a
all.
dangerous thought process to go down, the
Yeah.
dogmatic approach in our
Yeah.
industry. I mean, you're already, here's the fun thing. I just want to hop in on this too, because like
Sure.
you're absolutely right. There's so much division. You're already fucking weird, dude.
Yeah.
Me
You're already swinging
too.
a mace.
You're
What does
already
it
doing
matter?
weird shit I do. So like
Yeah.
already I should respect you because I know the mentality it takes to even want to try unconventional,
Yeah.
let alone to practice it. So first off, we need to see fucking love just with that alone.
Mm.
Now let's talk about, what does unconventional trading even teach us? It's like it teaches you unconventional thinking, it teaches you new abundance thought processes, new patterns, like open
Well,
yourself to connections in new ways. You thought you knew something and then you learned something. You're not going to continue that thought process for the rest of your life. You think you know it all.
yeah.
So, seeing the
And
division sucks.
also like the cultiness in like uh different fitness coaches in general. The first one that comes to mind is the Bikram hot yoga guy, right?
Don't know.
People so there's a documentary on Netflix called Bikram, whatever. I don't even know if it's called that, but the Bikram hot yoga fella was a dude teaching Bikram yoga. He brought hot yoga to the States basically. But what starts happening is that the people that come to the class, they love it. It's great. The people are feeling good. But soon, based on the way the teacher is teaching, people that are in the class, they want to make sure that that teacher it notices them. And there's a small part of the class that wants to satisfy that teacher. And then the teacher starts to realize, hey, I have this power. They'll listen to anything I say. And that's
Mm.
fucking dangerous. And this happens in cults all over the place. It starts out nice, everyone's feeling good, blah, blah, blah. Next thing you know, the cult leader is basically programming everybody else in the
Yeah,
class
you were
to say it this
inclusive just
way.
to become exclusive, and it's a
Yeah,
terrible, yeah,
it's
it's
weird.
a bad
But
rabbit hole to go down.
as as coaches, we do have somewhat of this kind of power. And if you go ahead and abuse it, shit's gonna hit the fan. You got to know
Well, once
what
you
you're.
become that, we leak that, as you know, to our audience, to our clients, to our athletes. Like they're adopting our pattern behaviors potentially because they're studying from us and they trust to receive things
Yeah,
subconsciously, let alone consciously.
yeah, yeah. And at the end of the day, you got to leave it up to the individual to flourish into their own flower,
Hmm.
whatever it is that their true north is. And I think unconventional training, we're talking about exercise now from a nervous system standpoint.
Yep.
And when you look at exercise from a nervous system standpoint and getting yourself up in fight or flight, back down to rest and digest, in the middle is that flow, right? The more you understand this, the more you recognize, hey, I'm fight or flight. I'm not as creative. I'm not myself here because I'm potentially in
I'm in
danger,
survival
right?
mode right now.
I'm in
Yeah.
survival mode, right? Scarcity mode. You're not going to be the best version of you. Okay, I need to get back down to parasympathetic. What does that look like? What does working in look like versus working
Hmm.
out? And you can do
Yep.
this with unconventional tools, not to mention the offloading things, the offloading tools. It's
Oh, the science
it's
of it all is redonkulous.
it's right left hemisphere, right left hemisphere, right left hemisphere, right left hemisphere. And over time, your brain starts to merge the right and left hemispheres together. And you're way more in flow. You can get way more in flow when your right and left brain hemispheres are working in unison versus one side dominant versus the other. And we see this all the time. There are people that are so left brain dominant. I want to make sure that I'm doing the same reps, the same sets on the same day, back day, chest day, leg day, so strict and structured. And then there's the other side of the spectrum where, no, dude, I'm just going to get called to the cable today and I'm going to do a couple of reps and da, 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 da. There needs to be a balance of the hemispheres, right? And I think this is what unconventional tools do. But by doing that, you could listen to your truest nature start to come through you basically. And I think that we're a being that has this torus field that radiates out, everything's energy, vibration, and frequency. And through this torus field, we start attracting people into our environment based on our elevated intention and elevated emotions, right? And that gets clearer the more you understand when you're in fight or flight, parasympathetic, or in that flow zone. And
Well, now
learning
you can
this,
start catching your behavior, which
yes,
we come
and
back to
become
unconventional training, which really makes you start to shift more of your physical behavior. And if you're shifting your physical behavior, now you're responsible and you have the potential to now change other behaviors outside of that.
you can't change your physical behavior unless you're in tune with what emotions are driving you.
Mm.
Okay. And you could you get clearer on what those emotions are when you learn to be in parasympathetic and flow state, right? And slowly
Yep.
get yourself into fight or flight. But when you come back down to parasympathetic and are in flow zone, yes, you understand what yes feels like deeper. You get, oh yes, this
Yeah.
is an intuitive feeling. Yes.
Instinct starts to kick in versus just thinking through. And
Or
you
I
start
like
to literally
I like
your
to
gut
say
kicks in, whatever.
intuition. You're developing this level of intuition, right? And at the end of the day, it's all about self-awareness and understanding higher levels of self-awareness. What is the foundation, the fundamental reason why I'm speaking to you right now, why I'm opening up this gym, why I'm training this person? Where is this coming from? And
Yeah. What's my intention?
the clearer we get on these points, the more self-aware we become. And the beautiful part about this is that there is infinite levels of self-awareness.
Hmm.
And I also believe, this is to get crazy now, I think we can get so in touch with this individually and then on a collective level that we can start connecting to deeper levels of how human reality works. Like, I think we have greater capacities to become telepathic. I think we could become clairvoyant and clairaudient, tapping into other dimensions that are always in this third dimension. But we have to work on the physical, mental, and emotional levels of ourselves in order to tap into those higher level vibrations, which exist all the time, infinitely. I feel like the more people that are on that same wavelength and vibration can have greater effects on community and ultimately the world.
Well,
But
you
it
come back
starts
to awareness,
right.
and
It starts
awareness
with
and
the individual.
for me, training develops awareness physically. If you can
Yes,
change
of
your
course.
physical behavior, because I said, hey, I need you to do external knee rotation. This is what it takes to do that every rep. You can't do that old thing you used to. You gotta, unlearn that and learn something brand
Mm-hmm.
new. It's going to put us in the right direction as a universe. When it comes down to the spiritual side, I'm 100% with you. That's what I believe about unconventional training. Is training made me more aware. Unconventional trained me more aware.
Yeah.
So
Well, it has
why
to,
not?
or else it's gonna.
Why? Yeah, of course, it's going to fuck you up. And
Yeah.
it comes down to, like, my favorite part is we touched a little bit about unconventional training in the science. Stabilizers, everybody. Like, there's free weight, the shape of the object. Okay, cool. Movement with it, rotation, all the stuff that you can do with it. Okay, we need it on a science level. Then we get into spiritual side. What can this leak into? 100%. And I want to come back to the dogmatic thought process, which is sad because as we're talking, I'm like, come on, guys, like, speed it up. Open yourselves. Come back to love. Remember where the student mindset is again. I always think about when someone's like, "Oh, Jared, like, how are you doing that move? It's gonna break your knee," or whatever you see me do on the internet, and people freaking out about it. Have you all seen a breakdancer hold a position repeatedly? Have you seen
Oh,
gymnasts do insane things? Like, why are you making rules about what a 360 looks like? And even before we get into the potential of positions that can be held that have been proven to, what's most important for me as a coach, are you safe? Are you safe? You can
yeah.
do it how you want a little bit. Go ahead. Are you safe? And if you want to dive even deeper, we can. But I don't need to tell you that's wrong. Are your hips engaged? Is your core on? You think it's tight enough where there's no compromise actually?
Yeah.
That's a big, big win already.
And also, like, there are so many different levels of human performance. I mean, if you would just watch a football game and the different types of movements that happen from all the different positions and some of the awkward positions that those guys find themselves in, the human body is capable of moving in so many different planes and so many different ways that make people go, "What?" The average person can't comprehend this because they may have not gone through higher level movements and
Let alone
find
athletic. Think of most
yeah.
people who are in PE class who sit on the side who fucking pick their nose, who don't want to do
No,
it. That's
I
most of
know.
everybody.
Yeah, and they didn't do it. They found ways around it, but the human body is capable of some pretty amazing things. And there's degrees to what different people are capable of doing. Like someone like you who's been moving like this for a long, long time, and I can go back when we did that first kettlebell flipping
Flip and
somewhere.
flow, baby.
It was me, you, and Jimmy. We were at
Yep,
that one
yep.
park. We had just had sushi, and you were moving amazing then, but the amount of progress you've had in the last 3.5 years has been, astronomical compared to what that was back then. And I'll post that video. It was just a couple flips, side spins, blah, whatever.
Yeah,
But
but
like, it's you've gone so much higher because you've worked on it, and the human body is capable of going through those types of levels.
worked on
It's
it, but you had to
just,
take away the dogmatic approach. You
yeah,
can't
you
work
got it.
on it if you're thinking that there's a wrong.
Right, exactly right, exactly right. And yeah, just to open up your level of potential and possibilities of what to do. And this is what, knees over toes guy basically is arguing. Everyone says, "Oh, you can't bring the knee over the toe." Well,
Yep,
in
yep.
fact, we go in that range all the time when we're fucking stepping downstairs. So we're doing that every single day. why can't we train in that way too? You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So the human body is capable of a lot of things. To say that this is wrong completely and that is wrong and that guy's doing something stupid or blah blah blah, I would watch. I would be very attentive to just listening to folks that are saying don't
Being
follow that
influenced
guy.
by those people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and I almost got sucked into that. Like when I was at the Viking Ninja, they were talking so much shit about Leo Savage and Steel Mace Flow that I was like, first of all, I don't even know who Leo is. Let me make my own
Yep.
opinion. Why are you
Yep.
telling me? And then I remember them saying, oh, no, dude, Onnit is on the down low. Onnit is going down. And this was back in 2017, 2018 or whatever. Now Onnit just wants to focus on being a supplement company. I'm like, really? Because I don't think that's true. I don't think that's true. They're doing high level education. They have a wonderful community. What are you saying? Why? So when I started to like question why, and I didn't buy in 100% with the Viking Ninja fellas, and I started like going down other routes of people doing mace, doing clubs, doing kettlebells. It was just a lot more open-minded approach, less dogmatic, and
Mm.
a lot more just a loving environment. And I realized that fitness coaches and gyms, they could be dogmatic and they can have their group of people, and whoever runs it, if they're coming from a scarcity mindset, then they're gonna say it's like a super jealous boyfriend. Let me see your
Yep.
phone. Why don't you have your fucking location on? Let me see your text messages. Who are you talking to? You start doing shit like that, you're gonna drive that person away,
Yeah. Now we
right?
crave freedom. Yep.
You got to have trust, you got to have love, and you got to be genuine with anything.
Hmm.
Training, relationships, whatever business endeavors, it's got to come from a loving place. I truly 110% believe that in order for the flower to blossom into its purest form. And again, throughout the journey, since we're conscious beings, we're on all the time. We have to get clear on what yes feels like, and we have to get clear on what no feels like, and really hone in on those feelings and make your decisions based on that. And
Yep.
obviously, whatever data and statistics that you want to throw in there and all that. But at the end of the day, if it feels like love inside, then it's gonna be loving on the outside. Remember, everything that's inside is reflecting on the outside, and the outside is reflecting on the inside. There's no way around it. How you do anything is how you do everything. And if you look at the Hermetic principles, that is what's happening. Everything is mirroring you. Everything.
Yep. Yo, so for those of the who tuned in or are tuning in, like I think we've dropped a million bajillion reasons why you should train unconventional, functional training. Think about at least um, trying it for yourself. And I have a question I want to ask you. Also, I think it's important because I think a lot of leaders in the space don't get seen at the level of what they're actually doing. And obviously, Instagram is just a highlight reel, as everybody says, of everyone's lives. And it's very true in a lot of ways. But I think a big question I wanted to ask you, and that I had to ask myself and still sometimes do, is you chose unconventional training. You chose to go into this career. It's not just security. People don't, you become a doctor, a lawyer, you do other things for big financial security. So you took a leap, all these leaps, and then you opened a gym right before the pandemic hit, if I remember, literally right before the pandemic hit,
I opened it
or
in
during, excuse
2021,
me,
so it was like right in
during,
yeah.
yeah, excuse me. So during the pandemic, you decided to open up a gym. Already nuts. You're already unconventional in every way leading up to this point.
Mm.
Why did you decide to open up underground in Chicago? Like, I know you chose a city based off of potentially some demographics and whatnot, but in your heart, like, why are you building underground fitness?
Awesome.
Because you work
So
your ass off. People don't know all these things. We see the
right.
highlight reel, but from your soul, like, why did you choose to do that? There's so many other things.
Yeah. So when I decided to go back into it, I got burned from a couple of schools, and I thought for sure I was going to be working at some of those schools for a long time, and that was my plan. And that's what I told my wife. I was like, this is the role. I'm going to be a PE teacher. I got this job here, but at the end of the day, it didn't work out. And I said, fuck it, I'm going to go into the training field again. When I was doing that, I was training in two different areas. So I was in Oak Park, which is a suburb, again, outside the city. It's like 30 minutes away from Park Ridge. And I was going back and forth. I had clients in Park Ridge. I had clients in Oak Park. I first started my first fitness business in Oak Park. It was called Steel Mace Oak Park, where I was doing these just steel mace classes for the public 3, 4 times a week at various times of the day. I was renting a facility. I bought all my maces. I brought them over there, and I went in with a business partner, and I was really trying to get people in the Oak Park area to come and take my mace classes, strictly mace. And I was doing that for like 3, 4 months, and it didn't yield any income. In fact, I went back to zero after all the investments I made with the rent and the
Yep.
maces and all that stuff. So I realized I'm putting a lot more energy into this than what it's yielding. So I put the kibosh on that, and I didn't know whether I was going to be training more full time in Oak Park or Park Ridge. So I just kind of kept going. Whatever clients were interested in doing one-on-ones in small groups, I just went to wherever I needed to go. But over time, the Park Ridge started booming more than the Oak Park, right? So I stayed mostly in Park Ridge. And then an opportunity came about where before Underground opened up, I was going to buy out somebody else's lease. Okay. And I had this agreement with this fella for like 10 or 12 months. And the goal was by June 2020, I was going to re-sign the lease where that guy's place was, which is down the street from Underground, and that was going to be the thing. I was going to remodel that place and turn that into my own brand. I had no idea what I was going to call the gym, or, what I was going to do with it, with the equipment or anything. Long story short, that space ends up falling through. Like always, the guy kind of like went from underneath me, and he re-signed the lease, even though he told me he wanted me to do it. So I was like, fuck this, dude. I'm going to take everybody that I've been training. I'm going to find somewhere else to go. Like, that's what people do. So, at the time I was doing half of the people at their house and half of the people at the studio that I was at. And once my lease ended over there at that one studio, I was strictly going into parks and people's houses and all that. And specifically, a couple of clients of mine were like, "Are you still interested in opening up your own place?" I'm like, if the spot was right and everything aligned up, I would be, yeah, I was very interested. So it just so happened that some of the people that I was training, they own commercial real estate, and one of their buildings had a vacant spot in the basement. And after the conversation, they were like, "Do you want to come check out this space and see if it's something you're interested in doing?" I was like, "Fuck yeah, I would love to come check out the space." Long story short, everything aligned, dude. The people that own the building were like, "Yeah, if this is what you want to do, we can have this ready for you, and let me know how much." It was 5,000 square feet down here. They said, "How much space do you need?" I'm like, "Shit, I don't fucking know. 1,000 square feet," and we were originally going to do 1,000 square feet, but after like talking it over, it was way too small. We ended up going to 1,900 square feet, and then there's the whole other side where we started building walls
Yep.
that was still vacant. And I was like, it'd be cool if I can start with 1,900. If the numbers are aligned, I would totally go for it. So we made it work. I opened up a 1,900 square foot facility in a basement. So I'm thinking to myself, what do I brand this as? And how do I start marketing this? And I was eating dinner with my wife one day. I'm like, it's in a basement. We're doing unconventional type stuff, so it's different. What's another word for unconventional that's different? That's something non-mainstream? Well, underground. Oh, I'm getting
Yep.
goosebumps thinking about it right now. So like I didn't even second guess it. I was like, this place is going to be called Underground Fitness Studio, and it's going to be the hub of unconventional fitness in the Midwest. And it's going to be where people come to find different modalities of healing, right? They're going to learn about the nervous system. They're going to learn about physical movement. They're going to learn about their breathing. They're going to learn about, um, again, what emotions drive their behaviors. And they're going to learn about what is, love, what's not love, what does yes feel like, what does no feel like through some of these modalities, right? And when I was thinking about the logo, I was talking to my leasing agent who set up the spot for us, who also does a lot of the logo building and stuff. He's like, "Let me know what you're thinking about." And I'm like, "Okay." I was very inspired by Onnit. I showed him a lot of the Onnit logos, and I was like, "I want something like this. I want like a hexagon or something." And we collaborated, and finally we came up with this U, and I was like, that is perfect for a few reasons. The U is simple. It's one thing that says boom, underground, but it also is a symbolic representation. And I'll move the microphone a little bit. This is the U I'm talking about.
Ayo.
And I visualize the U at the center of my chest on t-shirts, because this is a straight symbolic representation of the heart chakra. Okay. And everything that I'm doing with my coaching and with my teaching is coming straight from my heart. Okay. And when I started thinking about color schemes, I was like, if you know the chakra system, you got the root chakra, which is red. Then they got the, what's the next one? Solar plexus, whatever. It's red.
You're gonna tell us here, Danny. I can't tell you.
Yeah, I'm gonna follow you here. I'll get you. It's the root is red. Then the next one is orange, yellow. The heart is green. Then you have the throat chakra, blue, and then the third eye chakra, indigo, and then the crown, violet. So when I was like the rainbow, right? The prism, rainbow colors. So when I got to, figuring out what the branding was going to be like for underground, I was like, it's got to be green and it's got to be a U just like that. And we're going to put it on shirts and we're going to make a cool type logo. And we made a few different logos. And I basically came up with that because, again, all the coaching that I was doing was coming straight from my heart and soul. And I realized that when your chakras are aligned, and you can do that with a lot of, yoga, you can do that with unconventional tools, that your truest nature starts to come through you, right? When the chakras are out of balance, and each chakra represents different levels of emotion. And if those emotions are out of balance in your conscious system, then energy is not going to flow through as clearly. So I really tried my best to understand every single level of the chakra system and what emotions are tied with each of those parts of the body. And I get clear on all those things. And I figured out some of those things that were imbalanced and how I needed to shake them up and become more balanced. Trust in areas where I knew I had sufficient amount of energy, and just kind of go with it. And I've been rolling with this for the last 2.5 years, and it's only been growing. It's only been growing. And I still have my fears here and there, of course, like everybody, and I find myself getting into ruts sometimes, but I always shake myself out. 90% of the day, 90% of the stretches of time, I'm very optimistic about how things are going and how things are looking. So yeah, man, I chose it. I don't necessarily think I chose it. Some of the things that started unraveling just started happening, and I found myself in this place. Some of the people that I was connecting with, the clients specifically that showed me the space was like, yeah, I think this would be amazing. And without training those people, I would have never connected with them. They would have never gotten to know me and my truest nature and the relationship that we started building. And, they understood what I was about. They knew I was in it for the long term, and I am in it for the long term. And the rest is history, baby. We're down here. And now by June of 2023, July 2023, the other side is going to be open. We'll merge both sides. It'll be a 5,000 square foot facility. And I'm bringing in a chiropractor who's a shaman. So he's
I
down with
remember
the
you
funky shit.
communicating about it. Yeah.
He knows about the chakras. He knows about non-ordinary states of reality. He understands everything about trauma and how some of that stuff sits in not some of it, all the trauma that we've experienced in our lives, in our past lives, our parental trauma, generational trauma. It sits in our cells. Our issues are in our tissues. And the only way, there's a lot of ways that we can unravel stuck energy, but movement is a big one.
1,000%. Move that bitch.
So I'm basically taking that and I'm riding with it. And little by little, all these people that I'm working with are starting to understand this philosophy, and they go see the chiropractor. They come train with me. They go to the physical therapist. They're drinking the Kool-Aid, so to speak, about what they can do to self-heal. And that's the bottom line. Everybody has infinite potential to self-heal, no matter how destructive the disease. That's what I choose to believe. And when people choose to believe that they can self-heal, they're going to go on their own journey. There's going to have ups and downs, but with the proper support and the proper community and the positivity, anything is possible.
Amen, brother. Something I want to say about underground fitness. And thank you, Danny, for sharing all of that with
Yeah,
us.
fuck yeah. Gets me jacked
Because
up.
if you look back at it, because I didn't hear these words directly, but as someone who ran a facility and decided to open it up, it's because I fucking love people.
I love
I
people.
fucking want people to be happier because I know
Yeah.
I've reached certain levels that other people haven't because I drank the Kool-Aid. And so one of the big things for me about opening up a facility, a space, a consistent place that you can come work on yourself, grow, you can trust, you can get every emotional need fulfillment. Like for someone to take the risk to hold that space, that is all love. And I
Mm.
think that gets lost a lot in the translation, excuse me, of owning a facility. Because when I first entered the gym space, when I owned my facility, I remember the first few owners I met, they were like, "You got to be a shark. You got to be a
Mm.
shark. You got to sell. You got to, all these mentalities about making money." When the truth, and I knew this, and that's why the spot ran the way it did, even without any kind of organization, due to me. Hello, but it was ran off love and it survived for 3 years, 3.5, whatever it was, almost 4, off of literally. I just love people. When I'm with them, I want them to know that when they're training themselves and when they're coming here, they're taking time to do that, to give themselves that love. And so, someone who is just big in community, who did it for himself in an area, and who has watched you do it the last few years, how fast you've done it, again, it's a reflection of the chakra and the root of what you instilled in it, which is love. And so, yeah, I just wanted to
Definitely.
really point that out to our audience and just let you know, like, that is the base of what this is. You built a community because you love people. There would be no reason for it to be there without that.
The
So,
world needs alternative modalities to heal. You
yeah,
know, they're confused, especially now with
we need
social
connection, and
media.
that's through all these other tools and community spaces, bro. Think about all the relationships that have been fostered through your space that you
Yeah.
decided to open. All these
Yeah.
friendships where people have friends, where people have someone to connect to, let alone the movement. That's why I was like, the movement's huge too. Trust me. You know me, I'm the crazy trainer. But as someone who knows the risk it takes to open up a space, like for you to do it, I just want to highlight the
Yeah.
level of
Thanks.
love it takes to do that, let alone to succeed in the way you have in the last few years. It represents the mirror of everything you are inside.
Yeah,
So
thanks, man.
I think
It's a constant everyday working on things, man. It's like I'm a giant work in progress. I know that for a fact. I have
no,
so
and
many
you work
fucking
your ass
flaws.
off too. It's the balance of both. Like you have your forgiveness for yourself, and you're gentle in that attitude, but you also have an expectation that you can accomplish great things, and you are, and you're willing to, and you're going to.
Yeah,
And for
and
those of you listening, like y'all can do it. You just got to decide on what you really want, which is what Danny was talking about earlier. Something that I've been working through a lot this year, and I'm still continuing to find that feeling to
yeah,
know what's a fuck yes or what's a no or what's a I think
yeah,
this could be a fuck yes. Does that mean that's still a fuck yes?
yeah.
All of these questions that we're all having, like you'll know based off these experiences, just listening to someone like Danny who's done the thing and
At the
continues to
end
do the thing.
at the end of the day, dude, you got to get clear on your values. If you can get clear on the 5 to 10 things that are your personal values in whatever it is
Yep.
that you're doing, whatever endeavors you're doing, then you have like this anchor, right?
Yeah.
You have this
You have
anchor.
the groundedness within it. I did that a
And
few
then
weeks ago.
when things start unfolding as they naturally do, right? Waves just naturally flow. As things start happening, as different emotions start, mustering up here, you get to realize, hey, is this veering off my value set or is this aligned with my values? Right.
Yep.
And people allow themselves to veer off what their values are based on more money or more security or this and that. At the end of the day, if the things that you're doing are not aligned with your anchored values and they're not clear, then things are going to be fuzzy,
Yeah, which
right?
is where I mean I can honestly say I've been the last 6 months. Like it's fuzzy and it makes sense to me. It's not
How
aligned with
often how
everything
often are
I know I need
you
to be doing.
how often do you like write stuff down?
Not often. Not often.
This is something that
I
I
had a phase where I did, and I find that when I'm I am not feeling gratitude, which doesn't,
Mm,
I'll be honest, it's very hard for me to get to that point. Even when I'm not as excited about everything, I'm still super grateful for everything.
mm,
So like, and I'm
good.
okay with like doses of that. But I noticed myself, again, the last 6 months, like that's not a place I want to stay all the time. I like excitement. I like shaking things up. I like
Yeah.
accelerating. And for me to sit in this place of like constant isn't me. It's not my principles. I'm here to
Yeah.
accelerate. I'm not
Yeah.
doing that right now. Not on the
But
level I know I could.
I find with the writing, what you're doing is you're forcing your thoughts to be clearer, you
Yep.
know? And if you can force yourself to open up the notebook and just face a blank page and just start writing without any boundaries, just start writing. And you can do that every day. Like I notice myself, I'm up and down with it. I'll have months where I'm like, I do it.
Yeah,
I
you
wrote in my
crush it.
journal
Yep.
10 times, 12 times, 15 times, but then I'll go 2 months without it. And then I'll realize, wait, am I feeling more anxious and in like a semi-depressed mode because I'm too much up here and
Yep.
I'm not mirroring that down? Because what happens when you start writing, you start to look at your issues or your thoughts from another perspective.
Hmm.
And from that, you go, aha, okay, interesting. And another thing, when you have that written down and now you're 7, 10 months in the future, a year, 2 years in the future, and you still have that notebook, you can go back to what you were thinking about 2 years ago, 8 months ago,
Yeah.
whatever it is. And you start to reread some of those things. And when you reread some of those things, you're like, yeah, I remember writing that. And I remember feeling that way. But you know what? It wasn't as bad as I thought now that I'm looking at this
Hmm.
now again with new information. And it allows you to neutralize some of that trauma that you had back then to make you feel that way so that when the next level
I
thing
found that when
occurred.
I went through a journaling phase was when I reached the states of anxiety and I found myself like I'm no longer present in my day to day. I'm no longer
Yeah,
present in a training session. I love training. What's going on?
yeah,
And
yeah,
that was when I kind of took to journaling. And it's the same thing in my relationship when I had all these like no clarity, nothing. Same thing. I've turned to journaling. So that I find it like anything else, tools. Like how much do you want to use
yeah,
it to fix what's healthy for you? But for me, I find that it's good to live as present as possible. It's good to turn to the journal when I'm in a state of thought, which
yeah,
occurs, but I don't like to live in. So that's my
yeah,
personal spiel on it. Danny, I have a training session in about 10 minutes and I have a few other
yeah,
questions I just want to ask
yeah.
you a little
Let's
bit.
go for it.
I think
Go for
I
it.
have one like I think like more professional one and then a
Sure,
kind of quick bangers. All right,
sure.
cool. Sweet. Um, so yeah, thank you for sharing everything on Underground Fitness. For those of you who are listening, Chicago, if you're anywhere in the state, I don't care. Where's Illinois, excuse me, you go to Chicago. Yeah, I said that live. Do it. Let it out there.
It's
Point being
okay.
though, you guys are in the area of the Midwest, you can see Underground Fitness, you can visit. It's beautiful, but let alone the people, the community members, the staff, coaching, like it's all it's 5 star. You don't miss
Thank you,
out
man.
on that. So as you ever get a
Thank you.
chance, you got to check out Danny Cola Fitness at Underground Fitness Studio.
That's right.
Danny, I think a big question a lot of people have, and I have, is how do you manage your time being the owner, being the husband, the father, the brother, the son, all of these roles, the athlete. How have you been doing managing these roles, or what is your secret, if you will?
Hey, what's up, guys? You can have a seat. Brian's coming in a little bit. Um, Great question. I'm still learning that. I'll be honest with you. I've had to change it up again ever since the baby was born. So anytime, I got to make sure that I'm training the people that I need to train. So I carve out time for my training, 6 a.m. to 1, right? And then from 1:30 to 3:30 is where I have free time, which I'm still learning how to manage that, right? But in those 2 hours is everything that I got to get done, from filming videos to working out to uploading videos, posting content, editing podcasts, making phone calls, doing meetings, whatever is on the list, right? From 1:30 to 3:30. Those are like that, those 2 hours are like, I got to
So do
figure
you feel
out.
you've stayed pretty organized, with
I
your
just,
time? Like you're just kind of like listing the time out throughout the day?
Yeah, I just know that those are the 2 hours in my day that I gotta figure out what I'm doing that week or what the end goal is, and then get 1 to 3 of the major tasks done in that time that I have to do at the moment to get whatever needs to get done, whether that's scheduling in Vigaro or, like I said, having podcasts or editing or training myself or whatever it is. Like, I got to get clear on what those things are. And that's sometimes hard for me because when we grow up in school, like all that's already organized for you. This hour you're
Yep.
doing this hour you're doing this, then
This is
and
your
you get
syllabus for
homework.
life.
Right. And like I'm creating that syllabus right now in real time, and I'm constantly doing that all the time, and it's always changing. Sometimes I work less, sometimes I work more. It depends on what I'm feeling like. Sometimes I just take those 2 hours and I say, fuck it, I'm not doing anything. I'm going to sit at home and I'm going to hang out outside. The weather's beautiful. I'm going to get present. I'm going to throw some songs on and I'm going to throw these kettlebells around and I'm not going to worry about a thing. I'm just going to be here right now and until I pick up my son. And then we go pick him up. We have dinner. We do bath time. We play dude, I've been playing my guitar every single day for like 20 minutes with the kid for the last 7.5
Good
months.
for you, dude. Hell
And
yeah.
my guitar skills are coming back so smooth and it feels
starting a
good.
band again. He's starting a band again.
I'll tell you the truth. I've had the thoughts. I had the thoughts of starting up again. It's like, where the fuck are you gonna start practicing?
I'll
Right?
play your fucking triangle, dog.
Oh, dude. So it all depends. But I know where my work is during the day. I know what time I start the next day. I know what the weeks look like, pretty much weeks out in advance. Long-term stuff I don't necessarily have on the books. Be like, I know I want to do a workshop in this month, in this month, in this month. I'm going to that Italy retreat.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Hell yeah.
End of May. So like I see things kind of like I keep things open for things like that pop in. Like, oh shit, this is interesting. I'm gonna potentially put this on the list, So like it always changes. I do the best that I can. It's not always optimal. But it's just getting comfortable and okay with, doing the things or not doing the things. It just depends on like what is priority at the moment. So I just, I try to figure out what that priority is and I just get the thing done. And sometimes it hurts and sometimes I get distracted and sometimes I'm focused and sometimes I do it, but it's not always the same every time. So I just know by the time 3:30 is done or hits, I'm done. I don't do any more things. I just
Got you.
family time.
Boundaries, baby.
I
Yeah,
put the
it
phone
sounds
away.
like you've gotten your boundaries this year more organized. I'm sure wifey's also always helping out in that.
I had
It's
I had to.
yeah, of
I was
course.
there was days before the baby came that I was training and this was every day from 7 o'clock to 6:30, 7:30.
I remember when
And
I
I
was
was
there visiting, and I was like, I don't know how you're gonna do that.
Yeah. And you just got to do it, right? Because
Yep.
in my head, that's what I had to do to keep everything afloat. But then I realized I don't have to do 3:30, 4:30, 5:30 anymore. I can delegate that. I can work up to 1:30. I can sustain pretty good here and everything
Yep.
else delegate. And then after that, just go with the flow and then figure out what the priority is and just get it done. And then that's it. So again, it's an ongoing process. It's not whittled down to a science. Sometimes I succeed, sometimes I don't. And that's just it.
Thank you, Danny. Hell yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Couple
Yeah.
light questions here. If you
Sure,
could
shoot it.
have one superpower, only one, you can't like have one that has many, or like I have one that collects
Mm,
others. That's bullshit.
yep.
One mutation or superpower, which would it be and why?
Teleportation. 100%.
And
I
what's
would
your
want
reason for this, sir?
I would want the ability to just fucking in an instant uh be anywhere in the universe, in the world that I potentially can be. Um I think that would be pretty badass. Just to
Hell
quickly
yeah.
think about being in Dubai on a beach and then boom, I'm right there.
Yes,
I want to
sir.
go to hey dude, I'll be in Austin tonight. We could go dinner.
It's right.
Boom. You know what I mean? So like, oh, that would be interesting to have. Fuck flying. If I can teleport, I'm there in an
Mhm.
instant.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure that at some point here I can develop clairvoyance, clairaudience, and clairsentience. So I have connections to the ether just like this right now. But teleporting my physical body to different places in the universe and in the world would be pretty badass if I can do that. I don't know if
Pretty
you're
next
able to do
level.
that, but if you can figure that one out, let me know.
I'm still training, and that's why I'm training, maybe. If you could live in any fantasy world, what would it be?
Mm,
Is there a fantasy world or fictional world?
fictional world. Um, Well, I I guess the first thing that pops into my head, if I was a professional athlete, and living the life of a professional athlete from the time I was like 18 years old to, let's say, 36, you top out or whatever, like playing a professional soccer in Italy would be a fantasy that would be amazing. Like I
Mm,
still find myself like watching old videos of like Italian soccer from the like all the way through the 90s, all the way from the 90s into the early 2000s, and then when they won the World Cup, then after the World Cup in 2006, Italian soccer started to fade hardcore, and now it's kind of getting better. Milan in the Champions League semifinal. I don't know how much you give a shit about pro soccer. I don't. I don't follow it so much, but I love the nostalgia of like the old school badass Italian soccer players that were fucking elite. That made me so inspired, dude. It was like crazy. Going back to the beginning, like when I played high school soccer, I graduated high school in '07. The summer going into that was '06, right? Going into your senior year, '06, and then graduate '07. Italy won the World Cup, and I was so inspired to be the captain and be the man on my soccer team and win state that year. That fucking year, bro, I remember setting my goals, setting my dreams. I'm like, we're going to win state. We're going to win all these games. And that season was immaculate, bro. We fucking won 21 games. We lost 3 games, but we won in the third place game. So we ended up losing in the semifinal. But I had a wonderful experience that whole season, and all about just like planning the goals, working hard to get them, visualizing it, feeling that emotion and what it would be like, and just executing game after game after game after game after game. So fantasy world, if I could go back and I can be in a fantasy land, I would be a professional soccer player in Italy,
mm.
in Rome, or in Milan or something, and fucking living that life. I think that would be fucking cool.
I think you'd crush commercials, bro. For the record, great salesman. Um, and lastly, what's your favorite thing about being a father currently? You
My
know, that's a
favorite
big
thing.
stage. Like, proud of you. I'd love to know.
Thank you. Thank you. It's amazing, first of all. Like just to see, like I still look at him. It's been 7.5 months, and I'm sure I'll feel this forever. It's like, where did you fucking come from, bro? Uh when we were trying to have the baby, I was writing in my journal and meditating on, because I think consciousness is reincarnate from different realms of the universe that's infinite constantly. So um I would write to my son that was living consciousness in another dimension. I'd be like, when you're ready to show yourself in this dimension, we're happily going to, guide you through the process. But I know that you're doing amazing, great things in that last dimension. So when you're through with that, we're going to welcome you into this one. And so I remember writing all this before the baby was conceived. And then when we finally found out, I was like, oh my God, it's time, blah, blah, blah. It's ready. We're ready to go. And, when the baby came, and now that we're going through, and I feel like now 7.5 months later, we're finally starting to get into a rhythm and a groove, and it feels good. But my favorite thing is just seeing him smile, seeing him like understand that, wow, okay, I'm a physical person and I'm in this world. And now we're going to watch him relate to the world and how he finds himself in that place. So just watching him grow right now, seeing him smile, watching his personalities form, it's wonderful, dude. It's amazing.
Hey, so happy for
Yeah.
you and Danielle. That's
Thanks, man.
awesome.
Thank you, dude. Thank you. I'm happy for you. This is a big move. I'm so excited. I'm coming to Austin in like September. So
I'll see you there. I'm sure I'll be seeing you
yeah,
a lot, bro. I
yeah,
have a good feeling
yeah,
about it this year.
yeah,
Um, Dude, so amazing. So happy about to hear about what's next for your facility, your community, what you're doing for
yeah,
them, hearing about what you want to do on a personal level of education, teaching seminars, workshops, hearing about fatherhood, all the
yeah.
experiences you're going through with that.
I'm living a dream
Thank
life, bro. I'm very grateful. It's
no,
amazing.
and I'm so happy to hear that for you. And then again, it's inspiring to know that and hear it. So thank you so much for
Thank you.
being my first guest on What
Yeah.
Drives You
It's an honor.
Crazy. Thanks for sharing some of your
Yeah.
crazy thoughts with us crazy
Yeah.
folks.
Fuck
If you
yeah.
could
Thank
just
you.
let the people know again where they can find you, your handles, and what you'd like to know about your business, let's share
You can
that with
find
them.
me on Instagram at Danny Cola Fitness, my YouTube channel, Danny Cola TV. The podcast is the Danny Cola Podcast on all streaming platforms. And at some point here, I'm going to be live on Ensemble as well, thanks to you.
Heyo.
You told me about that. So I'm developing that shit slowly. But I'll have a membership base there on Ensemble pretty soon. And then Underground Fitness Studio. is in Park Ridge, Illinois, in suburbs of Chicago, right outside O'Hare Airport. You can find Underground Instagram at underground.fit. So that's it.
Hey, yo, guys, make sure you check it out, support where you can. Let us know your thoughts on today's conversation.
Dude,
Let's
so
get into
fun.
more conversations. Thank you, Danny, for
Thank you,
joining
bro.
me and joining us. And I love you, and I
I love you
can't
too,
wait to
bro.
continue to watch the process for you and with you.
Thank you for being a part of my inspiration, bro. Let's keep it up.
Love you, dog.